So my name is Alexa. My friends and my family call me Lex. They call me Lex even more now since Amazon hijacked my name. So,
Yes.
yep. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I joke. I'm like, Mom, you really didn't see that coming, did you? It used to be this really, really sweet, kind of unique thing that most older people got wrong.
Yes.
And now it's just kind of sad, but Lex is fun. And I think that suits me too. Last name a couple of months ago was Martinez. It is now Bowditch. So recently married, which feels really good and still kind of stirs up some butterflies and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did the thing I, for the majority of my 20s, said I was never going to do. Which is get married. Yeah.
I love that.
And yeah, it's sweet. I thought I was empowered and yeah, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do life and love unconventionally. I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to have a family. And fast forward and I meet Jordan, who is my now husband. And we are like in the thing. Like I found my person and he's the one that I will do all the scary things with. So anyway, it's a little of the personal stuff. I live in Austin, Texas, originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. My family's been there for over 300 years, since before New Orleans was named New Orleans. And it took a lot for me to uproot and move, from that area because my whole family is there. So raised mostly Catholic and have spent the majority of my life trying to figure out what faith, sex, my body, relationships, life purpose, what is the deeper meaning to me on an individual level versus being from the South versus being raised Catholic versus all the things that I grew up with. So that's a little bit of then the backstory, but I'm a sex, love, and relationship coach. And I run a company now with my husband where we have therapists, counselors, teachers, spiritual practitioners of all sorts that work with us. And collectively, we coach groups and individual people on having a sex life and a relationship that they're fucking stoked to have, which I didn't check and see if I could say fuck on your show.
Absolutely, you can.
We hope you do.
Great. So,
wow, what a like 180 from what you thought your life was going to be, and now your entire career is based off of like this loving relationship that you have that you never thought you were going to. That's incredible.
Yeah. I look back and I'm like, wow, it all makes sense in hindsight. But in it, especially when I thought I knew most things that had to do with the ways of the world and how it worked in my 20s. Fast forward a few years and I'm like, oh, you're cute. Really cute there. And everything that you thought you didn't want from an empowered place was really out of fear. Mm-hmm. And so fast forward and a little bit more growth and meeting, the right community and the right person. And it's, not that some people choose that. Some people do choose that from an empowered place. And it's not about meeting the right person. Cause that used to really annoy me when I was younger. And people would say, oh, you just be patient, as if like, poor me, I didn't have a person, or the person that I was with, I knew I didn't want to marry. So, everybody chooses whatever their choice is for whatever their reason is. And it served me then. And it seems like this is serving me now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said one thing about now you're working towards helping people like fucking love their sex life and their relationship. And I think that's where we want to dive deeper today as well. So how do you start out figuring out what you want in your sex life? How do you define your sex life for yourself?
It's a really big question. Yeah. And I think as someone who has created a brand and a business that is like a giant structure of mirrors, like I cannot see where my, I would say shortcomings are, or my work is still to be done, or the areas that I may be avoiding. I can't not see them on a day-to-day basis because I'm consistently working with other couples and other people in my community spaces and on our show and all of that. So it's like, I'm constantly up close and personal with where some of the shadows are and some of the great triumphs that I have experienced through my life. And so it's like, wow, the work is really never done. And that's part of, I think, the beauty in all of this is that it's a work in progress perpetually, because I might have a thing figured out and then I'll become a mom and then everything will flip upside down. Maybe not. And then it will be, a different season in womanhood. And then maybe things will change there, or, there's another new layer or level or cycle to start and complete that will change the game. And all the things I thought I figured out will, completely turn around. So I preface in this in saying that to me, I have gotten relatively comfortable with the discomfort, relatively comfortable with, and I won't say it doesn't make it any more comfortable going through sticky things. It's just, oh, I can see this coming ahead of time, that a new challenge has surfaced. And so understanding that it's always going to be an unfolding, a really beautiful unfolding. And so how someone can figure out what they want in their sex life in order to create a relationship that they're fucking stoked about is one, understanding that it's always going to change,
which is
so Jordan,
yeah.
So Jordan got this piece of advice not that long ago where he was instructed to always treat me like a mystery. Like always look at me filled with wonder and awe, and she's so mysterious. And that's a good thing. Meaning like I'll always change. Like he might be pretty steady, but I'm gonna, it just kind of comes with the territory. So I think getting really curious what excites me and what brings me pleasure. Now, those two questions, what excites me, what brings me pleasure, I felt like the word pleasure was kind of arbitrary and far out. Like it was hard, like what brings me pleasure? And like, yeah, okay, cool. Like I like to read and I like, whatever I like to eat, or I like to do a certain thing during my, workout or whatever. But really on a more granular level, what brings pleasure? What type of touch? What type of sensation? What sound? What taste? What really, really brings pleasure? Because as life starts to shift and change, maybe understanding those little things, then the evolution of the greater picture might shift, but those little pleasures you still are aware of. So I'll bring it a little bit more, I would say, to earth. Question: what do you want and what do you like? Also big questions. A couple of tools that I really, really love for people who are like, I have no idea where to begin and I don't know what I like or what I want. It's a want, will, won't list. It's over 300 questions. It says, what do you want? What will you do? What won't you do? So if you have no idea and you just know I want more, or I want better, or I want something different than what I'm currently experiencing, and maybe you don't want that right now, but you know that you'll want it in the future. So go through a list. It's pretty easy to Google. I have one. If you Google it, I'm sure it will pop up. Just type want, will, won't list, and go through one of those checklists and ask yourself, do I want this? And that's like a hell yes, I want it. Give it to me now. The context, of course, depending that it's all safe and you're with a person that you want to exchange that energy with. The will section is you will do it if your partner really wants it. So it's not necessarily a maybe, but it's more like if your partner really, really, really wants it, you will give that gift to your partner. And then the won't is a safe word: pineapple, red, stop, whatever. Stop's not really a good safe word, but whatever your safe word is, that's a hard no, and it's non-negotiable. So I would say start with something like that, bring that into your relationship if you're in one, and start having regular conversations. Like you would talk about what your schedules are like for the week. Talk about sex in the same way that you might talk about the weather or what you want for dinner, and start bringing that conversation up as much as you can, because it is a really, a lot of people go into relationships and sex is in some ways a bonus. Like they have to check all these boxes with this person. And then the sex is like a secondary bonus thing that comes with it. And they just go, oh, well, this just is. And what I've discovered in my own life and a lot of people that I've worked with is that the sex winds up being the primary reason why the relationship ends. Whether there's not enough sex happening, whether it's quality, quantity, the desire, the way that it's going down, all of that is factored into I'm done. And so if it winds up being this thing that becomes a primary reason why relationships end, then how about choose to prioritize it where it actually is in this whole grand scheme, and have reverence for it, respect for it, and let it have a seat at the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I love everything that you just said about like the big picture and then coming down to like your want, will, won't list. And is a want, will, won't list something that you went through yourself in your own journey? And did you ever find something that like either surprised you that you liked or that you thought you'd like and it was a hard no? Like I feel like that's also a barrier is
Mhm.
actually trying the things that could
Yeah.
be interesting. So
Mhm.
like what was your process like with that? And did you try everything you wanted to off of those?
Well, the list is really long. And so thank goodness. I don't know if y'all have had a conversation about erotic blueprints on your show. Have y'all spoken a little about that? Okay. So Jordan and I, which is another great resource, Jaya and Ian, who created the erotic blueprints. There's 5 different profile types. You can take the quiz. You can find that online too. Jordan's out of the 5 profile types, his top 2, sensual and sexual, are my bottom 2.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
okay.
Okay.
And my top 2, kinky and energetic, are his bottom 2.
Okay.
Wow. That must have
And
been shocking at first.
yeah, I was missing the mark with trying to describe how I liked to express. And it was a very vulnerable place that I helped, at the point when Jordan and I were first, getting together. I was trying to describe these same things that I help people describe all the time in their lives. And for some reason, it was really challenging
Mhm.
when it was my own relationship.
Right.
And he was just not understanding to describe to a very kind of mostly serial monogamous vanilla beautiful. He's like a Greek California god. Like, you know, game, there's no game for someone who like looks and feels like he does. He's very charismatic. He's always had this like kind of charm to him, and I imagine that getting with women has been easy most of his life, that he's wanted to engage sexually with women.
Mhm.
And I got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to just be an easy catch, so to speak. Not that that's not necessarily the way that I really thought about it. It was more like, I'm not looking for quantity in sexual experiences. I'm looking for quality. So I'd rather say no and then go for deeper and more expansive, where I can bring curiosities into play, which a lot of times for me is kinky elements. And so I would share some of this, what I was seeing and experiencing in our relationship. And he kind of understood it. He understood the part where like sex was typically pretty easy for him.
Mhm.
And he
I get
understood.
that. I heard that.
He did. He got that.
Netflix.
Yeah. He understood that part. Yeah. And we talk about this very publicly too. And so to describe to someone like him that I have interest in daddy dom little girl play, and which is an element of DS. And so for me to even just say DS, I said BDSM to him for the first time. And he was like, that, like it broke his brain a little bit. Like, no, only twisted, demented, traumatized souls do that in dungeons, you know?
Dungeons.
And I was like, no, they also do it with like colors and like princess skirts and, like, they also do it like in this totally normal way too. And so it was challenging. Like I used some of my resources in my community to help explain to him what some of these dynamics were so that he could see it in a way that he didn't project his judgment and shame and lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding nuances in various situations. Like he just didn't know. So it was very challenging for us to come together with erotic blueprints that were totally different,
Mhm.
and for us to say, like, let's be in a relationship. So the what will won't list and the erotic blueprint really helped us to communicate effectively, because we had something concrete, this piece of paper that had my check marks on it. And so we sat down and did a what will won't list, probably right around the time that we did erotic blueprints. So they were able to feed into each other. But I sat down with him and I was like, we're going to do this exercise that you have heard me coach people with a lot, but you and I have never done.
Wow. So many different areas you can like incorporate this into your life. And it basically all starts with getting comfortable talking about it
Mhm.
and getting comfortable with your preferences, like understanding what you prefer and then being able to express them.
Yeah, I'm thinking about because like for you and me, it'd be super easy for us to
Yeah.
fill out something like that. I mean, that's literally what we do. We just do it on air.
Mhm.
But I'm thinking about like cis het men in particular. Like I can't picture a lot of them filling out something like this together. You know what I mean? Like with a friend to
Together.
get that
Yeah.
language. It sounds funny, but
Over
like
a beer.
also, so how are they going to get that language?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so how are they going to like get into these partnerships and feel comfortable talking about it? I don't have an answer to that. That's just
rhetorical.
That's just a question.
But you actually brought up something. We should totally do an episode where we fill out a want, will, won't list.
Yes.
That would be really fun to do on air, and people can do it with us if they want.
Exactly.
So if you have gone through this list yourself, like let's say you don't have a partner, a long-term boyfriend, whatever, and you know what you want, how do you date intentionally? How do you find the right people to explore your sexuality with, to have a good sex life with, like, and create that for yourself? Like, how do we date intentionally?
That's a really great question. So at first, and I'll just speak very quickly of personal experience and how Jordan and I got together, because, and I kind of alluded to it in telling the story about how we got to Austin and we were in New Orleans. He was in California and I was in New Orleans. I was about a year off of ships. So I lived and worked on luxury cruise ships for about 6 years in my 20s, and traveled all over the world, had lots of experiences. I've seen dicks and vulvas from all over the world.
Oh my
Like
God.
below deck.
But luxury cruise lines. So big ones,
Okay.
big ships.
Okay.
So those are yachts, the really like massive ones. And so I had a lot of experiences just in life up to that point. And I felt really great about just that time and that exploration. I was introduced to BDSM, consensual non-monogamy. I really started the seeds were planted towards the end of my time traveling, that like, oh, people live, love, experience life totally different to the people in South Louisiana.
Shocking, I know.
Wow. It blew my mind over and over again. One of the greatest teachers, a couple of the greatest teachers of my life, travel and sex. So when I was about a year off of, traveling the world and doing my whole ship song and dance, and I was back in New Orleans, and the question was, what are you doing here, Lex? Like, this is my internal dialogue. What are you really doing here? What do you really want right now? Because and that was when I got clear. It's not sex, because I'd had a lot of really great sex. So it wasn't continuing to have all these various experiences. I had to come to terms with at that time that I wanted a relationship, when I'd been very public about poly and solo poly and all these different ways that could be done. But I was coming to terms with, I think I want a family unit. And it was really challenging. Like, it was quite a bit of an identity crisis at the time. So I started journaling and writing about this person that I wanted and what I was available to provide and to give, and the commitments that I was willing to make to spirit, God, universe, that I was willing to make in order to get the relationship that I wanted, that I thought I wanted. And similarly, Jordan was also going through a situation where he had his heart broken, and he was now speaking very publicly online just about the whole process and how he was growing through it. In some way, shape, or form, our paths aligned online, and he reached out and asked me for a FaceTime date. Fast forward 4 years and we are married. So I say this story to illustrate mainly that I really believe in, and I don't know how, the listeners on the woo spectrum, they might feel, but or they might identify with, but I really feel like my declarations, I really felt like my alignment, how I was really clear on like, this is what I want. And it was also, oh shit, at the time that I put pen to paper or fingers to, keyboard, and I put it out to the world. This is what I'm available for. This is what I'm calling into my life, and being really present with that. I think that's what had us come together. So dating intentionally, bringing it back to your original question, is just like having a great sex life. You got to know what you want. And also at the same time, I understand that being asked the question, what do you want, is so vast and so big and so daunting for some people. Like, well, I don't know what I want. How do I know what I want if I haven't tried that many things? Like, I don't know what the options are. That can feel overwhelming for some people. And some people hear that and are like, I just want to try it all and then I'll decide. Right. But not everybody's like that. And so it could be that dating intentionally means you try some things on that are not going to be a good fit at first, so that you have a point of reference. Oh, this is where I course correct. This is where my no is. I got really good at, whenever Jordan and we use the terms like call each other in, like how we called each other in. I got like, I felt pretty aligned because I had already done it many times and it wasn't the thing that I ultimately wanted, or it was the thing that I wanted in the moment. And then I started trying to change it. And that's when it fell apart. So it was the thing I wanted, and then I changed my mind, or my life was going in a different direction, or whatever the case was, or their lives were. And so being willing to try things on, putting yourself out there, and when I say putting yourself out there, I mean for yourself. What does your life look like? Are you dating yourself, so to speak? Are you taking yourself to nice places? Are you treating your body well? Are you eating well? Are you, when I say treating your body, like looking at your body as a temple, the only structure that you're going to have for your whole life, are you treating it well and kindly? And if you don't know how to do that, or the answer is not yet, then put pen to paper. What are the ways that you can treat yourself nicely? Where do you go? Your person, it might be in those spaces, because I know some people also have an aversion to online dating. So like putting yourself in the places that your person might be, not artificially, like, oh, I want, a certain kind of corporate ladder climber that's going to be at the hotel bar at the W.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought about that a couple times. Just like, I'll just circle around the nice places of LA.
Yeah. I mean, but then that's not
right.
That's not true for you. So what's true for you, and where would you want to go? Where would you want a person to take you? And to go to those places to some degree. I mean, if you go to a drive-in movie theater by yourself, you're not going to meet your person there because it's dark and you're in a car and you're by yourself. You know, like
people you might be meeting might not be right if they come up to your window.
Excuse me, ma'am. I saw you in there looking so doughy-eyed.
I think you're calling me in.
Can I sit here? You may not.
Not calling them.
Come in and lock the door. God, that'd be scary.
Yeah.
God. I love that your stories like wrap back around to this like multi-layered answer to the question. I feel like they're perfect examples of ways to find yourself and then like show that to the world. Like that was beautiful. I was lost in your story. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you. People come to me and they come to, our company, and they want more from their sex life or their romance, whether they're dating or they're in a relationship. And I love that we've created an environment where we show what the more is, and from a very, I would say, normal kind of place. Cause I feel very normal to me. I feel like pretty tangible and accessible to normal people. Because I see some people that are sex educators and sexual wellness advocates, and they feel so different to me, like the way that they show up and how they show up. And I have a couple pictures in lingerie, but like, that's as risque as I go. And so like, they feel so kind of different. And to me, I think like the way that life has in some ways, certainly not traveling around the world and doing all that, that's a little bit atypical, but people come and they want the more. We can showcase them more from like a baby steps, a normal kind of feel way to it. And every time, especially people that work with us in like a one-on-one capacity, they come for sex and we almost rarely talk about sex, because what they really need is coming home to themselves and figuring out what they want on a deeper level. And it's more of a life structuring. What does your community look like? What do your friends look like? What is the work that you do? Do you feel purpose in it? Do you feel like you're leaving a legacy? All of these things factor into overall happiness. And so I can't fix someone's sex life, so to speak, if all these other things are in the way of them like feeling the depths of pleasure, So we address so much more than here's a technique to squirt.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Because I'm sorry, my dog is barking now.
Because it feels like sex in that instance is like the symptom. Like if there's an issue with your sex, like that's just the symptom of like a deeper issue. So it's nice that like you dig deep.
It's like a microcosm of
Sure is.
your entire life. But to get kind of 180 and like a little bit more specific, once you have found somebody, whether you are like, yes, I want to date this person long term, or I really just want to have sex with this person, do you have any tips for going into that first time that you have sex with someone?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, let's choose one of the instances. Like you're going to have a sexual interaction with someone for the first time. Is it just for fun, for sex? Or is it a person that you've been courting or that's been courting you with potentiality for relationship?
Let's say maybe potential for relationship. You're just dating them. You're not sure where it's going to go yet. Maybe you've been
Is
on
this
like
like
2 dates.
asking for a friend?
I am engaged and have been for like 3 years and have been dating the person for like 6 years. So it's not for me and it's not for this friend.
I'm currently not dating, but in the future,
Yeah.
I could be.
I'm just trying to make it as like applicable to everyone as possible.
Sure. I had a moment. I'm like, this feels very asking for a friend here.
Specific.
It did feel specific. And I don't know who for,
And
but
his name
someone.
is Todd.
Yeah, that's my dog's name.
Yeah. A friend, a
Yeah.
listener friend.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. So there's something that as you're asking that's coming up for me that's like somewhat related that I feel is maybe important to preface. And I got this piece of advice or this bit of information. I've more or less adapted it over the last few years. But I had a friend share that he was working with a male dating coach, and I don't remember what the coach. I can't necessarily give credit here. I should reach out and figure out, since this comes up for me every now and then. I'm like, oh, this is a good piece of advice. Is the when you're interacting with a person that you're interested in, think about what you want, just generally, if it can fall into one of these three categories. If you want fun, sex, that's the main thing, the lead thing. If you want a relationship and a potential long-term relationship, like you're looking for like your person to build with. So let's call the first one 1. And the second one that I mentioned, let's call that one 3. Number 2 is the person that you start dating and it's just for fun. And then you try to turn it into a relationship along the way. Or someone that you think you want to do a relationship with, but then they're not really fitting the relationship like bill for you. So you just keep sleeping with them. Right. So there's sex and fun. That's number 1. And number 3 is relationship, long-term potentiality. We want to see where this goes. And in the middle is somewhere like trying to force one to be the other or the other way around. Right. So if you only have those 3 options, and we're not doing number 2, which one are you choosing before going into an interaction with someone? It's just a thought experiment, because it is really, really difficult to take sex for fun and turn it into that number 3, that relationship, and vice versa to do that well. Chances are the relationship is going to end. It might hurt. Chances are it will hurt. It will not turn out the way that you originally anticipated it to turn out. Both or one person is hurt more than the other. It just doesn't create a great situation. So if you can get real when you look at someone and you've interacted with them, I think generally speaking, you're talking with someone, feel the internal, like, there's wisdom in your system, in your body. Listen to it. So you're talking to this person and like, they're saying all the right things. They want the same things that you do. And maybe you've even spoken a little bit about sex stuff and those things seem promising as well. Then you're looking at a person for relationship potential. Or if like they're saying some things and like, it's just really hot, you go straight to sex and it's like hot, 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 hot. It's like, oh, I don't know anything about your family. I don't know anything about how you grew up. I don't even know your actual location, but we've already had texts. We've already sexted. You've already had an orgasm to your words. So this is probably just like, that's probably the lead thing. And you can know, right? So if you consider those things before going into a situation, I think that that can help possibly take the pressure off. But if I look at someone, I go, we're just going to fuck and it's going to be awesome. And I am so surrendered. I will not try to make you more than you are. We're going to have a great time tonight. And maybe we'll see each other again and maybe we won't. And that's okay. Or do you act differently if that person is the future father of your children or woman you're going to marry or person you're going to be in a long-term partnership with? You know, if it has that potentiality or you want it to have that potentiality, do you act any differently? And then that's something else to be curious about. Because if you do, why? What does it mean? Just curious, right? So bring it back to your original question. I always like the thought experiment. Don't try to make a 1 a 3 and don't try to make a 3 a 1. If you live by that, then you should be good. You know, in relationships, when the 1 tries to be a 3 in the relationship right then and there, when the 3, you try to make it a 1. So, and your original question was more about like interacting for the first time. So if it's hot and heavy right away with like texting and all that, then go there with consent conversation, go there with boundary conversation. So if you know that this has the possibility or the potentiality to go sexual, then it's up to you to take responsibility for your trauma, your body, your preferences, your no's, all of that. And the more that you can communicate that in an empowered and even seductive, dare I say, way, the better, because it doesn't have to be, let me sit down with you and tell you all the fucked up shit that happened in my life that has caused me to totally disregard X, Y, and Z and avoid, A, B, and C. That's not that hot. So, and if you're just simply in the unknown and you're not quite sure if this person is going to check the boxes to be the romance, but you're getting a little frisky and you want to try it out, then I would say, if you can, meet for coffee or meet at some point during the day or have a call or FaceTime where maybe you do the what, won't list, or you do a lighter version of it. You do like a this or that game. That could be fun.
That's
and you
fun.
just like,
that's a good, lighter way.
Yeah. You're like, here's 16 pages and a pen.
I printed it out and it's laminated.
You cannot get up until you're done.
Yes. Yes. Ring this bell when you're finished. I'll re-into the room. But so you can do it this or that and you can trade back and forth. So would you rather a kiss on the neck or a lick on the ear? Rather a kiss on the neck. Right? Would you rather a pinch of the nipple or a light stroke on the back? So there's some sensation ones, and you can ask a slap on the ass or being spooned. Like just totally random. And then you could just pick up the heat as you go. So something like that. But it would be cool to do that over coffee where the stakes are low. Sex isn't going to happen. Well, it might happen in the bathroom of a coffee shop. I don't know. People be freaky.
Yes.
So, but generally it's not going to happen in the bathroom of the coffee shop. So you have an end to a coffee date as well. Unless you turn the coffee, it's going so well that you turn the coffee date into a nightcap or a sundowner and like you totally shift transition. And it's like, yeah, you're going to totally fuck that person if you're with them the whole day and the conversation is so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But sometimes going out for drinks or going out for dinner is late, and the natural progression after dinner or drinks is home, where a bed is, where sex usually happens. That's not usually what's after coffee. It's like, I have shit to do today. So if you put that structure there, where you're meeting somebody for the first time and you can flirt and you're like, I have this crazy idea. I heard this chick talk about it on a podcast that I really love called Honey Do Me. And she said, go to coffee and play this or that. Are you down? And start there.
That's a really good intro too. Like, let's go to coffee and play this or that.
Yeah.
It's very structured, but interesting and mysterious. There's that mystery that you were talking about.
Mystery. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. And I like going in with knowing if you're a 1 or a 3 as well. I feel like
Mhm.
that really helps orient your end goal, which, doesn't always have to be sex, but it just
Mhm.
like it helps you center yourself and figure out what you want at the end of this without being confused and kind of left like maybe someone else made the decision for you. Like,
Mhm.
oh, now it's sex. I don't know if I
Yeah.
actually want this. It's like just think for a minute and deep inside you probably will know what you're going for. But why
Mm.
can't a 1 be a 3? I'm just curious.
It can be. But most people are not willing to do, and both parties have to be willing to do the work in order to transition the relationship, which means the relationship as it was is going to not be anymore. So
Mhm,
the things that you loved so much about the relationship as it has been, once it shifts into this other territory, that's not all of that's not coming with it. The relationship is essentially restructuring, the desires are restructuring. Both parties have to be willing to do that. And sometimes it takes work, tears and frustrations and vulnerabilities and all that. And sometimes for someone who is just your fuck buddy, they're like, I didn't sign up for this. And that's the truth. They didn't sign up for that.
Mhm.
You didn't either if that was what you knew going in.
mhm.
And so it can be really hard for the person who's making the first initial motion for it to change. It's like, I know I said I wanted this and now I'm wanting this from you. And I have to be willing to put this relationship on the line for you to reject me and for me to end this thing that I am really loving so much in order for this to move to the other side, knowing that so much of it will change. It's rough.
Mhm.
It
Sounds
can
like
Put
be
it
rough.
that way.
yeah. Yep. Sounds like my first relationship. So, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
why
can
I
be
was just
really
curious
rough.
about specifics.
But I think if you know what I just outlined, if you have self awareness and relational awareness, and can take a zoomed out meta perspective and know that this is typically how this goes down and call it ahead of time, it's not that it won't hurt less. It's just that you can have an active dialogue around it and you can have check ins, because I think so many people let a thing go into the I don't really know what we are territory
Mhm.
to be fuck buddies. And then we kind of got close and I met his cousin. And then,
Right. Yeah, the one
yeah.
you step over to the other side
Yeah.
where they're
Yeah. And then it's like once you step to the other side, and then usually one of the parties retreats. And then the person isn't acting the way that they were when you first became fuck buddies and we're all almost obsessed with each other. The limerence period starts to shift very quickly into I don't think this is what I wanted. And I want, something else, something new.
Mhm.
Or I just don't want this. And even harder is I don't want this from you.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are hurting me just coming from you. It just hurts right now thinking about it.
It
Yeah.
hurts saying it. It hurts
Yeah.
saying it. But that's how real. You know what this is? This is universal. I've never met a soul that hasn't been affected by the conversation that we're having right now.
Right. And then the key to helping yourself through all that you're saying is just being clear on what you want and having conversation as you should.
Yeah, and my relationship coach says that a should is a could covered in shame. So when I say that to myself, then I go, okay, I'm not going to shame myself. I'm just going to say that I have awareness around this thing that I am actively choosing for it to hurt like this, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
because it's hard. Relationships and rejection and vulnerability and all of that and love is risky. Oh my gosh, I am in the greatest relationship of my life, and one of the things that makes it so beautiful and meaningful and all of the things that it is that it could be over in an instant. And that's where like the depths of joy and gratitude can come from, is like this can be taken away. All of this is risky on very emotional, physical, financial, like there's a lot of different levels that all of this playing with others um is at risk.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was beautiful
Yes, it
and
was.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so, when you are in a long-term relationship and you have found that person that you've gone through your want, will, won't list and you're doing all the stuff, you're doing the hard work. How do you make sure that you continue to how am I wanting to phrase this? Like fulfilling what you want for your sex life.
Yeah.
Because, as you get years in, it starts to be, I don't know, change. Yeah.
Mhm.
So how do you make sure that you're still fulfilling what you want?
Yeah. This is a conversation that Jordan and I have all the time, weekly, which is a part of my answer.
Mhm.
Um, how we do it is we have something called a relationship board meeting,
Oh my
and
God. Already.
we treat our relationship like it is the most important business of our lives, because when this is functioning effectively and properly and with intention, and we put attention on it, then everywhere else in our life is more fulfilling. When the unit of us is, and this is if you're single too, the unit of you. I've never said that before, but when you are treating yourself well and nicely and kindly and all that, and in the unit of Jordan and I, when it's tended to properly, everything else in our life feels like the world could be falling apart. And at times over the last couple of years, it has certainly felt that way.
Mhm.
But we have each other. And that's okay. Or like there's a really hard thing that we're going through outside of our relationship, but because we have each other, that hard thing doesn't feel so hard because we're doing it together. And we have our love, and we communicate, you deserve sex and you deserve pleasure and you deserve to feel good, even if that thing is hard. We can go back to that thing later. So we realize that that's really important. And that doesn't mean that both of us don't have resistance. That's usually me. Every time, like clockwork. And he's just learning to flow with that resistance and not take it personally. And he decides to become a court jester of my life at any time that I do provide some kind of resistance. And when I say that, I mean, he says, let's do board meeting. And I just like, but I gotta cook and I gotta this and I gotta that. And I'm just like saying all these things. And it's just, stop it, Alexa. This is the most important thing. We'll order takeout, sit down. We need to talk about our relationship once a week. It's not that hard, but it still is very challenging for me at times. But we do it. We look at our calendar and we look at our actual commitments outside of each other so that we're at least aware. Because we used to go through like the first part of our relationship, he would be walking out of the door and I would be off of 3 consecutive calls and I'd finally have a break and he'd have like the basketball under his arm and I'd come out of the office and I'd go, oh, where are you going? And he'd be like, oh, I'm meeting so-and-so to go play basketball. And he had all morning to just kind of dilly dally. And now he was going somewhere. And I am thinking, oh, I can go connect with my person. And it's a simple scheduling error.
Yeah.
That people aren't even talking about. So sit and talk about your schedules. Like, what are you actually committed to? And can you rearrange a couple of things to make specific time for each other? Doesn't mean you have to plan something. It just means you're not going to plan anything else
Right.
at that time. So that was a big thing that we moved through, was like actually looking at each other's calendars, which is as simple as putting their calendar, if you use Google Calendar, as a tab you can check to see on and off your calendar. We did it the hard way for a little while where we had a joint email so we could have a calendar associated so that was on our calendars. We didn't realize the whole check thing.
Yeah.
We got it now.
Yeah.
We got it now. Millennials, we are. So that was a piece. The other piece was, after looking at that, okay, we're going to keep these windows of time open. Which one, or all of them, do you want to have sex? And that we actually scheduled at least 1 to 2 of our sessions. And some people have an aversion to scheduling sex because it isn't sexy. However, knowing that that's happening and I can remove the pressure of I need to just spontaneously be aroused and ready to rip clothes off in the middle of a fucking day when I'm running business and the entrepreneurial mind, which I'm sure y'all are familiar with, like, it doesn't turn off.
No.
It doesn't turn off. And nobody told me this.
It's exhausting.
So like knowing that window of time is there, I can just surrender, and we take turns. We'll use things like king or queen worship or god or goddess worship. And so that means he's going to take the lead or I'm going to take the lead. And we're going to create a worship experience. Yeah. And so we'll stick it on the calendar every now and then. We do one that is the most uncomfortable one that I'll share with you is our sexploration. He likes the word. I'm not the biggest fan of putting sex in front of all words that start with ex.
Yes.
He likes it. So exploring. And that's like when we first started doing those sessions, it basically meant we're going to grab a new toy. We're going to do a new thing. Now, the challenging part in that is grabbing a new toy or doing a new thing is not necessarily going to create for a sexy environment. It's going to create for two people, one person who's getting a thing done to their body that they're not sure if they like it up, down, around, left, right, whatever. And the other person who's attached to a tool that they've never used before and very vulnerably going to start putting it in places.
Mhm.
And you're naked.
And you're naked.
Right. So it can be a very uncomfortable situation. So we know going in that those are not inherently sexy to start off with. So we take an element of play and curiosity, like, I don't know, let's see what happens. And then usually it transitions. Okay, toss the toy, toss the thing. We'll either try that again or we'll keep going or whatever. And then we go into like normal playful kind of sex that that was the foreplay, so to speak. We try something new. That used to be really challenging for us because I'm a sex coach and he knew nothing about expanded sexual communication and toys and kink and dynamics. He didn't know any of that stuff. And so me being in the teacher role or me being in the critical role, whether or not I was there, he would project that and we would create that kind of sad self-fulfilling prophecy. And so we had to be very diligent with not allowing that seed to take root of this, like, I'm not going to try things because I'm afraid I'm going to fail you. And I'm going to, and my mantra in my head is, no matter what he does, he wins. He wins. You're winning. By showing up, you're winning. I am your biggest fucking cheerleader, because the alternative is that I am hypercritical of you and you can't do anything right. And then this ends eventually.
Right.
So I got to take responsibility for that.
Mm-hmm.
So relationship board meeting, that's back where that was. We schedule various types of sex. And then we also, when we schedule 1 or 2 a week, we usually have a spontaneous 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't schedule, that spontaneous might happen once and we're both frustrated because sex didn't happen enough for our system. Like the system of us likes, I mean, he would have it every day. I'm more like 3 times a week, 3, 4, maybe. If we're like really feeling, if I'm like ovulating that week, so.
Wow. That is the most in-depth, like, board meeting type of situation I've ever heard, but it sounds so beneficial.
Yeah. So valuable.
So
Oh my
valuable.
God.
Yeah. We plan our dates as well ahead of time.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll plan what the date nights are at the beginning of the month, only one time. And then we just chime and make sure that these still work week to week. So sometimes we'll do a bigger meeting where we're going through more of the month, but we'll plan what the date nights are. That way nobody plans evening things. Mm-hmm. And we tell our friends it's date night, and our friends all respect. Anything that we have that's the two of us, it's always met with respect. Hey, do you want to come do XYZ? It's date night. Guys are trying to get Jordan to do, I don't know, film some silly thing. And he's like, it's date night. And as his partner, I'm like, that feels so good.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're trying to create more of this in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Absolutely. I feel like that's such a fantastic tool that, like you said, with scheduling sex, so many people would shy away from because it either sounds unsexy. It sounds like relationships shouldn't have to be scheduled or talked about that much. They should come easy. But it's like, it's the most important thing potentially in your life. You should put that much time and effort and planning into it to make sure it's successful. So I think that was my favorite takeaway already.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Thanks. Guess what?
What?
We have a PDF for the relationship board meeting also. It's a free resource.
Oh,
Yay!
love that.
Oh my God, I love it. We will
link that in the show notes,
yes,
if that's okay
please.
with you.
Have it. Please
That
have
would
it.
be amazing.
It's because you know where it came from. I would speak about this thing that Jordan and I did, and then eventually people asked so many questions about it that our head coach, our operations manager, Bryn, she goes, I'm going to turn this into a free resource. And it's after the Want Will Won't list. It is our second most downloaded resource that we have.
Amazing.
Which is, I mean, it's like, it just helps. We want to help.
Help. I'm here to help.
Exactly.
I also feel like wrapped into this, like how to keep your relationship successful is also what you mentioned in the very beginning, which is like regarding your partner with mystery and like curiosity and always like asking about them and what they like and what they're interested in, like knowing that you're going to keep changing and not taking any of that for granted, I feel like is also helpful. It's
Yeah.
huge.
Oh, 1,000%. Oh my gosh. I think some people have such a big challenge with exploring, especially for the first time, if they've been in a long-term relationship and they're just starting the exploration and someone chimes in with, I want you to pee on me. And the other person is like, what? You've wanted that the whole time? I don't even know you.
Yeah.
Who are you? You know? And you have to be willing to regulate your own internal projections, your nervous system, your everything that could come up for you. And I'm speaking very generally there, like whatever role you're in as the deliverer or the receiver of the information. You know what I mean? Like you're in a partnership with someone and they're like, I've always been curious about polyamory, and you've been in a monogamous relationship for 15 years and you have to go, you were interested in what? Poly what? So
Polly who? Who's Polly? Yeah.
Yeah. Bring her here.
Bring her here.
Yeah. So it's just like the deepest work you can do. And to look at that person and just go like, yeah, you're a mystery that I have said yes to unraveling and unfolding and engaging with you for my whole life. The rest of my life, I am choosing to ride your ride. I've bought my ticket. I'm fully strapped in, hands are in the air. Let's go. Like, I don't know when it goes upside down. I don't know when it's coming to a stop. I don't know when it's going like 0 to 60, but like, I choose you. And that comes fully with the choosing. And I know it sounds cheesy, but it also comes with fully choosing yourself, because in order to fully choose your other person, you have to be willing to choose yourself. And when I say choose yourself, I'm talking about the hard stuff, which is understanding your triggers and the traumas. And then when I keep saying the term regulating your nervous system, that is a deep commitment. For me, it'll be my greatest, like one of my greatest lessons. And the thing that I continue coming up to is I have to make sure that I am a safe place for him. And if I fly off the handle and I can't handle my own emotions or my own projections, then I'm not a safe place for him. And then I don't get to continue engaging in the mystery that is this beautiful creature that I've said yes to. It's commitment on for both.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
So many beautiful things. I feel like I don't even have any other words for it other than where can our listeners continue connecting with you after the episode?
Well, it was a great conversational podcast. I spoke a lot. I didn't realize I had all that inside. So thank you.
We thank you.
Yeah.
That's Sex Chick on Instagram.
Beautiful.
That's the main place. Our company, the brand and business that we run, helping people, is called Sex and Love Co. And so depending on when this podcast airs, sexandlove.co might be up and running, which is really exciting. It's a new branch of our business, is officially branded and ready for you to explore. And so that's really exciting. But that Sex Chick's the main place. The free resources are in my link tree in my bio, and they're there and available all the time.